Are you looking for a betting platform with zero restrictions and where you can buy crypto using PHP directly? Look no further than DexWin. The platform is designed to make it easy for you to buy and sell your favorite cryptocurrencies using Philippine pesos with low fees and a user-friendly interface. But that's not all. DexWin also offers you the opportunity to bet on your favorite NBA games and superstars in the playoffs and mix and match parlays to win big. Whether you're a seasoned sports bettor or just starting out, they have everything you need to make the most of your wagers. And with their instant withdrawals, you can quickly and easily get your money when you need it. When you're withdrawing your winnings from sports betting, they make it fast and easy. So what are you waiting for? Join DexWin today and start taking advantage of all the benefits they have to offer. Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect. I'm your host Naveen Gamglani, and joining me today is someone who has been in this podcast a few times now, Nico Rocha, host of the Six Man Podcast, also one of my co-broadcasters for the Pinoy Liga Collegiate Cup, which is going on right now, so you guys should check that out. Nico also an up and rising content creator in the Philippine sports scene, and also as we're recording this Thursday, May 25, Nico is a few days away from getting married. Nico,
Yes,
congratulations, bro. I mean, look at you, married man and everything. How does it feel?
Okay. Gusto ko lang sundan yung yapak mo eh. Kaya papakasal na rin ako. but yeah, it's been a stressful week. Alam mo yun. We've been trying to schedule this earlier already, but buti ngayon nagka-opening. So I have to record this podcast. Sakto rin. May one day to marinate. At least yung UP Ateneo, which we will get to later.
Alam mo, ganyan yan when you're married. Napansin ko din. After marriage, and by the way, just some backstory here, I got married December 2021. So, give or take a year and a half since I put on this ring for the rest of my life, no? You start scheduling your stuff a lot more. Like, as in kailangan sakto. Okay, podcast recording. Sige, 4 p.m. yan on a Thursday. Or podcast recording. Sige, 8 a.m. yan on a Friday morning. Kasi there's so many other things you have to do, right? Now you have two families instead of one. And then spend time with your wife. You're at home together and all of that. So you have a learning curve to come, my friend. Let's just put it that way.
It starts today. And then tomorrow, actually dire-diretso hanggang Saturday. It's gonna be like that. So you're fitting two schedules na eh. Hindi na pwede, you move solo.
Yeah, and mapapansin mo din, bro. Well, I guess this happened to me, but then a lot of newlywed couples. By the way, when you get married, one of the things you start having are couple dates with other wedded couples, di ba?
May ganun?
May ganun yan. Trust me, may ganun yan. And then one of the things you quickly realize, which is common, or at least in my experience for a lot of new couples, is that, naku, pag married ka na, bro, ang saya just to stay home. As in, yung mga lalabas ka dati to go out, kakain, maybe you go to a bar, you go to drink, hang out with friends. Not saying that goes away. It doesn't go away. In some regard, madadagdag pa nga eh. But in terms of just overall, when you plan your weekends, yung mga hangout mo, ganyan, the temptation to stay home, stay in your comfy sweats and hoodie, pag umuulan, have a beer. If you smoke cigars like I do, have a cigar. Maybe watch a movie.
Hindi halata.
Once in a while, I don't mind smoking my
Pag-stress.
cigar. No, not even. Pag ano lang.
Casual lang.
Casual to enjoy the night. Like, I like my whiskey. So, like last night, okay, so we're recording this Thursday, Wednesday night, I decided to parang treat myself a little bit. I've been working a lot recently, including weekends because of the recent basketball tournaments, preseason, plus NBA playoffs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to open my Glen 15 and I'm going to smoke a cigar that I got from New York. And that's how I'm going to spend my night before going to bed. And it was pretty fun. But anyway, Nico, I wish you the best of luck, of course. And
Thank you.
You need advice, you can always call me or maybe some of our listeners to this podcast who might be willing to impart some wisdom. Because I'm still learning every day. I don't have this down to a T yet. I mean, it's a process. It's an everyday process.
2 years ka pa
really
lang,
fun
2 years
process.
in.
Yeah, I mean, and to think, I was dating my now wife for about 6 years before we got married. Am I getting this right? Oh my God.
Mali pala, may kuha kang text. 6.
No, 5. My math is correct. 5 years, yeah. But then you learn new stuff when you live with each other. And that's not necessarily like negative stuff or stuff that irritates you. There's a learning curve, I won't lie. But then it's mostly good times. It's like getting a fun roommate. So is that a part you're excited about?
Yeah, syempre, I can't wait to see how everything goes when those kind of things start na. Actually, nafe-feel ko na nga minsan eh.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, we're here to talk about some hoops. But let's start with the Denver Nuggets in the NBA. Nico, when I think about Denver's journey, it reminds me of the old school NBA title contenders' journey to the NBA Finals. So they draft Nikola Jokic about, I think that was a 2015 second round pick, 41st overall. And then, he comes off the bench, he earns the starting job eventually, and then like works his way to becoming an NBA MVP, a two-time NBA MVP. Should have been three-time now if we're being honest about it, right? Then they draft Jamal Murray. They used the draft pick that they got ironically from the trade with Carmelo Anthony with New York. End up getting Jamal Murray. And he's as good as the second best player in the team as you have in the NBA right now, right? And they trade for Aaron Gordon. They made a smart trade. They bring Aaron Gordon. So Aaron Gordon, from being like this fourth superstar in an Orlando team, he becomes like a role player. So he just has to be good at what he's good at. He doesn't need to worry about other stuff that he might not be so great at. And then they make a lot of smart moves. By the way, they also draft MPJ. They take a risk with MPJ. He's a highly touted prospect. They draft him a little lower than maybe where he should have gone because of the injury history. That's paying off right now. And then they make smart acquisitions. They get Bruce Brown, who is as good as a role player as you can find. They get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who in some nights can look like the third best player in a championship team. He was the third best player in that Lakers team that won the championship in 2020. And then they just have a lot of depth. Maybe not like star power off the bench, firepower names, but guys who just know how to play the role they have to play. Heck, they're not even playing Thomas Bryant, who they got from the Lakers. But he's part of the roster, right? And when I think
DeAndre
of
Jordan as well.
DeAndre.
DeAndre Jordan.
Former all NBA team guy, DeAndre Jordan. But, it just reminds me of like an old school way of like contending for championships. So you draft well, you make good acquisition in the trade area, you get a good coach, you let the coach like go through growing pains with the team, you go through some injuries, but you don't blow it up, you don't panic, you keep working, you wait for everyone to get healthy, and you have faith. You're a small market team, you have a good home court advantage, you take the regular season seriously, you end up with the number one seed, you have home court advantage, and that's a legit home court advantage in Mile High in Denver. And then you keep working, your players keep getting better every year, then finally you get your ultimate postseason run. First, you eliminate the Minnesota team that isn't that good, right? But they have a quality young star player in Anthony Edwards. You beat them in 5 games. And then you beat a Phoenix team that beat you 2 years ago in 6 games, even if they have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And then finally you beat an LA team, which throughout your history as the Denver Nuggets, that is the team that's been stopping you from advancing past the conference finals to the NBA finals, diba? You take on an LA team and then you beat the Lakers, and now you're in the NBA finals. And if we look at the statistics and we break down the tape, obviously there's so many factors to why Denver is so good at what they're doing right now. And they have the best player in the NBA. They have one of the best, definitely second best players in the NBA, like I said. But then just beyond everything, the story of this Nuggets team and where they are now compared to where they were just years ago, it's so natural and so authentic and so genuine, no?
Yeah, definitely. And sobrang sakto kasi yung fit ng players with Nikola Jokic, especially with Michael Never Pass the Rock Jr. Di ba? Michael quote unquote Never Pass the Rock Porter Jr. Sobrang sakto talaga kasi that's what Nikola Jokic needs, di ba? Parang talaga, just another extra scorer, and they just all fit perfectly. And I never thought the Nuggets would make the finals after our predictions, right? Kasi alam mo naman, may halong bias and everything. But we could definitely see that everything that they did is really convincing. Kahit 7 seed ng Lakers, that's a loaded squad. Nobody expected to sweep. Nobody expected that the Nuggets would sweep the Lakers.
Attention sports enthusiasts and loyal Ateneo fans. The peak of excitement may have settled after the UAAP season, but your support for Team Ateneo should never waver. Show your unwavering spirit by proudly donning your favorite Get Blued merchandise. We have amazing news for you. You can now find the most extensive selection of authentic Ateneo gear at both Shopee Mall and Laz Mall. Gear up and embrace the blue and white pride with Get Blued's top-notch apparel. And remember, always buy original.
Yeah, I had the Lakers winning that series, and
Tayo, di ba? We wanted the
yeah,
Lakers to advance.
we both had LA winning that series. But listen, all predictions went to shit once Miami screwed up Milwaukee in the first round.
Actually,
I feel like 99%.
Sweep ba guess natin? When we said Miami,
I
Milwaukee,
said
or
Milwaukee in 6.
In
I
6.
actually, and by saying that Miami would win 2 games, I felt like I was going out of a limb na nga there, that they ended up winning the series in 5. But that just goes to show you all fast life changes in the NBA. But you're right. We thought the Lakers were going to win, and rightfully so, because the Lakers looked really good when they beat the Grizzlies, and then they beat the Warriors. Then they faced a juggernaut in Denver, and we all respected Denver for what they were able to do, and who they were as a basketball team, right? And to be fair, a lot of those games were close down the stretch, right? LA makes a comeback in game 1. LA's leading for most of game 2. We were calling the Pinoy Liga game, and we had that LA Denver game on the side.
Tinitingnan natin from the side.
Yeah, in the whole game, it's like LA's up by 10. Okay, LA's up by 8, by 5. Biglang,
Next
wait,
thing, 2 na lang.
Yeah, wait, Denver's up by 10? How? Diba? And then game 3, that was the shocker to me. I thought LA was going to blow them out. Also because Denver was not a good road team in the regular season. But then Denver storms into LA there, wins the game. Game 4, LeBron's going insane. First half, LA jumps off to this huge lead. And in such impressive fashion, Denver comes back, storms back, takes the lead. Jokic just makes like a bunch of crazy shots where he just shrugs after, gives you the MJ shrug. Like, well, I mean, I guess I'm just that good, right? And I love this Denver story because in some ways, this is what you want NBA franchises to be. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with signing 3 superstars and forming a super team. Miami did it in 2010. And that didn't take away from how exciting those seasons were, or trading for a superstar a la Lakers with Anthony Davis a few years ago. But then the way Denver just built this, the authenticity of it, how genuine it is, how under the radar low key it is, and then you keep building, you keep adding bricks, building blocks, and then finally it happens. And I feel like it's just so relatable. And so, like I said, I keep saying authentic because it really is. It's so relatable and authentic because it reminds you of how you can keep working in your career, establishing yourself until you get to the point where you feel like, you've made it.
Agree. And just speaks about just the depth of that team, how great they are. Is it too early to say? I don't want to jinx it. I want the Heat to make it to the finals. That's my ideal finals. Like for people they don't like they say that the ratings would be low, but
fuck
in
that
reality,
shit.
I don't believe that. But for me, that's really good. Like a basketball fan would really appreciate that kind of series. In my opinion.
Yeah, because if we're talking authenticity, and look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I thought Miami was going to sweep Boston in game 4, and then Boston kicked the shit out
Ako
of them.
nga rin eh. Gulat ako eh. So, okay.
Like listen, I kid you not, I slept at like 2 a.m. the night before. Now, partly that was because I was having wine with some friends, but also because I was just like so caught up in the anticipation. And I kid you not, I woke up 30 minutes before, at around 6:45, before my alarm clock usually goes off in the morning. So I had like 4.5 hours. Yeah, like I was like anticipating this, right? And then boom, Boston just blows them out of the water. But then back to your point, it would be an interesting finals if Miami does pull it off, which NBA history says they should because no team has ever come back down from 0-3.
Yeah.
Boston's trying to be the first. But then Miami's also genuine to some degree with how they've built this, right? Because yes, they traded for Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler was like this unhappy superstar with a bad reputation everywhere he went. He finds a home in Miami, and then this whole playoff Jimmy, like his league-wide approval rating at this point with the fans, I think, is like the highest it's ever been, just because of
definitely
the performances.
Negative. Yes.
Even if he's like trash talking the shit out of everyone, people find it funny and amusing. But then you look at the rest of the roster, right? Okay, Kyle Lowry they got because Jimmy brought him in, his best friend. But Bam Adebayo they picked 14, I believe, or 13, somewhere there. End of the lottery, and he wasn't like a highly touted superstar, and he's now arguably like a top 4 big man in the NBA. And then you got all the undrafted guys: Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, right? Tyler Hero's not even playing. the highest drafted player they have in the roster right now is Cody Zeller, who's
Cody
arguably
Zeller.
the weakest link on the rotation.
Is he fourth? Fourth or
Yeah,
fifth
he
ba
was
yun?
fourth,
It's fourth, di ba?
2013, I believe. Yeah, the Great
Grabe yung
White
hype
Hope.
nun. From Indiana. It's from Indiana, right?
Yes, yeah. He
Indiana
and
rin yun eh.
Oladipo
Yeah.
were teammates. So then that's also genuine to some degree because of the development. Coach Polstra, we know his story from the video room to where he is now. And that would be such a great series, not just because basketball wise, it would be two competitive teams really going at it. They're relentless, but also because of how those teams were built and where they were to where they are now. And those crying about, oh, we wanted the Boston LA series for the ratings, for the drama, for the narratives. Well, I'm sorry, but that doesn't mean that the Denver Miami series would be shit. It would actually be pretty damn good if you know what game you're watching.
Oh, I wish Markieff, it was Markieff, right? Yung tinulak ni Nicolay. I wish Markieff Morris was still here. That's the storyline we all need.
Bro, I can't wait to
Morris
see.
against Jokic.
I can't wait to see Jimmy Butler try to trash talk the Jokic brothers in Denver. I mean, just wait for that. That's
I feel
going to
like he's
be
not scared. I feel like he might do it because I know this
yeah.
Jimmy
He's a
has
little bit
all
of a
the balls.
psycho. He's a
A
little bit
bit.
of a psycho, diba?
But that's
Like
how they portrayed him nga dun
yeah.
sa Game of Thrones ng basketball or BR. Like Jimmy
Yeah.
psychotic guy. So which I believe. With a good kind of psychotic.
What a guy, what a guy. But
Like a
hey, okay,
Kobe like psychotic. Like ganun
that's a good
style.
comparison. I think the closest player we've had to Kobe since Kobe has actually been Jimmy. In terms of like playing style, two-way play. I don't give a shit, when you're in the basketball court, that mentality. But let's see. I mean, before we make proclamations like that, Jimmy's got to win the ring. And I think this might be his best shot ever to do that. But first, they got to take care of Boston. Okay, Nico, let's move to the basketball offseason competitions because you're calling games for Pinoy Liga and also Phil Oil. I am
Yan.
calling games for Pinoy Liga. I am covering some of the Phil Oil games. And of course, this is really the secret to seeing how teams will perform in the UAP and NCAA, getting a first-hand preview of how they perform in leagues like Phil Oil and Pinoy Liga and Ball Out Sports. Unless you're UST and you want to hide what you have, diba? And you don't join any of the leagues.
Parang Ateneo last year. They were the ones hiding last year.
Yep. And by the way, as we're recording this, Ateneo is taking on NU.
Oh yeah.
There have been some impressive teams so far. I have to admit though, no team has been more impressive than DLSU. I think LaSalle,
Yes.
just in terms of depth and talent and the improvement of the guys in the team and veteran
Galing.
presence, athleticism, shooting, firepower off the bench. I mean, didn't they say more? Coaching. Now, we can really break it down why they're so good, but I have some info to share. And number one is a player in the team recently told me that the players in the team are no longer afraid to take their shots. That's why you see big men like Bright Nonko, Michael Phillips attempting 3-pointers and
They're
jump shots.
encouraged. They are
encouraged. Yeah, compared to like maybe the last few seasons where they were afraid to take 3-point shots because they thought that maybe they'd get scolded for not driving it in or forcing the issue in the paint, right? The chemistry is better. And I was talking to a player yesterday at Philoel Arena about it. I'm like, so what's just the main difference of like the team now compared to where you guys were last season when they were obviously disappointing, didn't live up to expectations? And he was like, the vibe is just so different. It's so light. It's so fun. It's so energetic. And people like love being around each other. And even if they might not all be like super duper close, there's still subgroups within the team. When it comes to game time, everyone feels connected and everyone feels happy with each other. And I think that's the Coach Topek's effect there. LaSalle really wanted a coach that one could develop players and two could really help maybe remedy the team chemistry factor. And Topex has done that. LaSalle's been impressive. I think UP has been very impressive too. I really like how LeBron Lopez has been playing, which I documented a little bit in my last podcast episodes. We haven't seen a lot yet from the LSGH recruits like Kagate, Pablo, but then with UP, the roster is also so deep, so the playing time is like distributed. I think Harold Alarcon look fantastic. I think CJ Cancino looks fantastic.
Definitely.
The 3-point shooting of the Fighting Maroons look really good. Briones looks good. Like I said, Lopez looks good. Diouf is still Diouf. Felicilda and Torres will really be game changers for this team. That squad is loaded. It's deep. And the way they dominated Ateneo. Now, again, Ateneo didn't have Tal Baldwin when they played each other at Philoil. and they also still didn't have Kyle Gamber. But I thought that was a little bit telling in terms of maybe the overall talent level. Of course, we know Coach Tab is going to whip these guys into shape by the time the UAP arrives, and Ateneo will be a title contender. But I think UP, the early signs, they're really dangerous.
LaSalle fans and Animo supporters, the crown is back in Taft. Now is the best time to secure the most incredible DLSU merchandise in the market to celebrate the Lady Spikers title conquest of Season 85. Green-Blooded Championship t-shirt is something you do not want to miss out on. It comes in 3 different colors with the name of each champion spiker on the back, names that will be remembered forever. What better way to celebrate this unforgettable season? So visit Green-Blooded on Shopee now and show off your Animo spirit.
In the NCAA side of things, I've been really impressed by Ayak.
Talaga.
We watched them against San Beda in Pinoy Liga, and we were just surprised by how active they were, how fast the ball was moving. Of course, they have an incredible head coach now, a well-accomplished head coach. And there might not be like big names in the team, but the way they're moving the ball, the way they're playing defense, the way they're just playing basketball in the court, there are some really good signs there. And another impressive aspect I've noticed in the offseason is the play of the CSB guys in waiting. I also talked about this a little bit in the last podcast episode, but Liwag, Eusebio, Michael Mara, all these guys CSB has waiting. They're very talented, and CSB still has an impressive core right now. So those 4 teams have really like stood out to me. Like Sium a little bit too. San Sebastian also. I like Are a lot. I think
Are
he's
plays
very
in the
impressive.
MPBL. Kaya parang
Diba?
condition na condition si
Condition
Are.
eh. Yeah.
Dami na naglalaro sa MPBL ngayon. Yun yung
Yeah.
advantage ng NCAA, right? Like, they allow their players to.
Correct.
Kaya sobrang condition.
Correct.
Grabe yung mga players sila ngayon.
Correct. But that's another team. So those 5 teams have really stood out to me. So LaSalle, UP, AYAC, CSB, and San Sebastian. How about you? And by the way, I don't think we can count Ateneo yet because they've only played 1 game. And
Yeah.
technically, we can't really count UST at all because we haven't seen them.
Okay.
So from those who we've seen.
So UAAP, well, obviously LaSalle, UP, NU. I like what I'm seeing from NU.
By the way, sorry to cut you in. Just an interesting piece of information I think you should know. I'm reading in our sports group chat that apparently Tao Baldwin has been ejected out of the Phil Oil game against the NU.
I wonder what he did.
I need to watch a replay of that and see what happened because
I wonder what
course-
happened there.
And by the way, this was like his first game. He missed that game against UP, diba? So this
Wala.
was like,
Tapos ngayon, kakabalik niya, tanggal agad.
and wala pang halftime, bro. Na-ejected si Coach Tab. Gotta love Coach Tab, man. Gotta love the intensity he brings. Anyway, go on,
I
Nico.
think he's like, back.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the I'm back in Tom Baldwin style.
I'm back. Anyway, and then for the NCAA, again, same tayo ng feel kasi we cover the same games which I love. Tayo dalawa yung nag-cover the game. So alam na we're very in sync with who's who right now in the,
Yes, sir.
at least in the preseason, right? What we're gonna say now in May could be different by the time the end of September rolls around, which I think is the start of the UAP and NCAA. So okay, for as of now, AYAC, CSB, San Beda shaky a bit sa Pinoy Liga, but in the PBA D League, it's a completely different story. I think that's where they're fielding their team A.
Yep.
So San Beda's a team to watch.
Jacob
And,
Cortez.
Jacob Cortez,
He looks
grabe.
good, bro. Yeah. Cool Cat Jr. Anyway, go on.
And then Letran with Kurt Rayson. Kurt Rayson is I think the new is it King Knight? Is it their term in Letran? The King Knight.
Should we maybe Knight in Shining Armor na lang?
He's their knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
Grabe si Kurt Rayson. He plays in whatever games he can. Yun yung napapansin ko. It doesn't matter kung Pinoy Liga, kung Phil Oil. If kaya niya, he'll be there. So,
right.
Yun yung 4 ko so far.
Yeah,
and then
that's
UAP
an
tatlo
interesting
pala.
team. So, NU, like you said, they've been impressive. I feel like they could be a little more impressive in the off-season, but they haven't really been complete, no, yung main core nila. But that's a very good team, and we're going to get to some mailbag questions in a little bit. But that's a very impressive team that I'm excited for this coming UAP season because I feel like they're kind of being left out again. But they have a shot as good as any team right now to win the championship, is what I'm going to say. They're one of the big boys now. Diba yung sinasabi ni Coach Jeff last year, we want to be one of the big boys. Well, they made the Final Four They pushed UP to the limit in the Final Four matchup before UP won. So you know what? They're now the next step naturally is to win the Final Four or to get a twice to beat seed in the Final Four, diba? So I like NU. I'm excited to see what they have. I think FEU, it's a good thing that they were able to retain their veteran players like Ano Nuevo, Torres, Gonzalez, Sleet, because there were rumors that these guys were going to leave at one
Meron nga.
point. Yeah, but it seems like they're staying put. Adamson, we haven't really seen Lastimosa play with them yet.
Yeah. Kaya di tayo makabigay ng fair assessment eh.
Yeah. But then,
Adamson, wala pa si Jerome.
yeah,
Tapos
but
Ateneo, di ba?
ang daming veterans din ng Adamson if you think about it, no? With
Ced
Magno,
Manzano, Cedric Manzano sa galing, consistent pa rin,
Galing.
double threat.
Yeah, he can still jump off the roof. Yero also, I like Yero.
Joshua
I think,
Yero.
yeah,
Yero
talented.
and Manzano so far.
Yeah, and they have some new guys coming in too, like Ray Allen Torres in his second year should be improved. Eli Ramos should provide some contribution. So I'm eager to see how they perform under Lastimosa. But yeah, the offseason's been fun. Although I think if I ask you who...
Nav, if I may cut you off, I just want to add Noy Remogat for UE.
Oh, yes.
We thought that his production in the last 3 games was a flash in the pan, pero grabe yung field oil niya ngayon. If you check his stats, I think Noy is number 1 sa point. Number 1 siya sa field oil.
He had
in terms of points per
31 the
game.
other day. Yeah. Now, I think part of that also is because Kyle Paranada hasn't been in action yet. And some of the Phil guys, Phil Canadian guys,
wala
like
pa.
the Dumont Cruz brothers,
wala pa.
Fikes, they're gonna arrive end of the month. So first week June, they should be in time for some of UE's big games. And I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Yung new foreign student athlete nila si Jackson, I think only played a handful of games, but he got sick recently, so he hasn't been able to play. So he's actually losing weight. He's lost weight since he got to the Philippines. I think he's getting used to how much food he has to intake here because the servings here in Manila are quite different compared to the United States. And they need him to play at a big weight, no? Because of the rebounding they'll need from him. But Remogat is impressive. I want to see UE complete, yeah. If I ask you though, which team has been the most impressive or who was really stood out? Is LaSalle your answer? Because LaSalle's my
LaSalle. Easily. I mean, easily. Undefeated in Pinoy Liga, undefeated in Phil Oil. Not sure kung sa D-League, undefeated din sila.
Natalo sila one time sa D-League. They lost last second to San Beda.
Ayun, wala sina KQ noon. Wala, no Kiambao
I think
and
no
Nelly.
Kiambao is a... Bro. So I had him on this podcast around 1 month ago, and he said he lost like 10 pounds, 15 pounds ata, because he's on a strict diet plan now. And you can see with his game, like the way he was coming into his first year of college, he was touted as like this wing player in a big man's body, and now you're really seeing it. He had 7 3-pointers the other day, bro.
In rhythm motion no?
Yes.
Hindi pilit. Talagang yun yung nag-change yung laro niya in a good way.
And what I found impressive too, so diba they faced UP last Saturday. So I went to that game. I got there at around halftime na. Because I came from the Slam Rising Stars. I saw you there, the Slam Rising Stars All-Star game.
Kita rin tayo. We see each other every
yes, sir.
If I see you more than I see my family.
if that becomes more than your wife, magiging delikado yan.
Delikado yan. Papagkawalan tayo dito. Gagagawa natin.
But, so I went to the game, and in first half, I saw lamang UP by like 7 points. I'm like, I saw si assistant coach Gian Nazario of LaSalle dugout before they were entering the half, and smiling siya, good vibes, everything. I'm like, Coach, ano nangyari? You're trailing, like, I think it was like 49-42, so high scoring pa yung first half. And then he was like, gigil lang yung players, but they'll be fine. And true enough, like 3-4 minutes into the third quarter, Kiambao hits 2 3-pointers. Bang! Nelly drops some passes. Michael Phillips scores. Benjamin scores. Suddenly, LaSalle has the lead, and then LaSalle kept building the lead, and what was a 7-point deficit turned into a double-digit DLSU lead. And then UP goes on one of their late-game runs, which you know they're going to do no matter what. And then at this point, yes. And at this point, I'm like, okay, so here comes the UP run. The lead is down to like a few possessions. Okay, LaSalle's going to falter because this is what LaSalle does, right? This is what they've been doing the last few years. Then, ang ganda ng response nila. I think Austria had a layup, Kiambao had a dagger 3, Nelly had a good pass to Phillips, and then just like that, the game was done. So the maturity factor there, and by the way, Nelly had 14 assists that game, 9 points, 14 assists, 4 rebounds. And I was talking to Nelly yesterday when I saw him at the arena. I was like, Evan, so are you gonna, first I asked him, Evan, will I see you slam dunk this season sa UAAP? Sabi niya, no, bro. He just was like, no. So I'm like, okay. 10 3-pointers. Will you have a 10 3-pointers game sa UAP this season? Kasi last season, yeah. And then he was like, you know what? 15 assists, he told me. 15 assists. I'm like, all right, 15 assists, one game. And you can see that that's what he's rolled with this team as he is the floor general, he's the leader, and Coach Topex has all the trust in the world in Evan. His teammates have all the trust in the world to him, and him being back, him being that veteran point guard, I think that's going to be very critical for LaSalle.
Yeah, we already saw that yung playmaking style niya with San Beda. Sa Lasal lang siya medyo naging more of a, mas na-evolve yung pagiging being a scorer. But this is the kind of Evan that we've always wanted to see, right? Table setting for his teammates. And ganda na ng ano niya, the way he controls the game. Alam mo, veterano na eh. And
For
we
sure.
always love to see Evan play.
For sure, for sure. All right, so Nico, I have some mailbag questions here. I'm doing this for the first time today. By the way, if anyone wants to sponsor this mailbag section of the Navs Effect podcast, we are looking for sponsors, so let us know. And while we're at it, I want to thank the sponsors of the podcast, Get Blued, Green Blooded, and of course, Dexwin Bet. If you're looking for the best platform to bet NBA games, now that we're approaching the NBA Finals, Dexwin is the place to go. And of course, for your Ateneo and DLSU apparel, Lady Spikers back on top, everybody. Championship shirt. Get that. Visit Get Blued and Green Blooded. So, first mailbag question. This one is from Mika. Hi, Mika. First of all, I want to thank you so much for listening to all podcast episodes and reading all articles. So, Mika, and by the way, Nico, you can answer this too. Mika asks, what got you into podcasting and who or what motivated, inspired you to start? Okay, I'm going to let you go first, Nico. This is like a quick mailbag section.
During the pandemic, that's where my dream of getting into sports media started. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have the usual portfolio, the degree to be known as sports media. So I was like, maybe I'll build my own digital portfolio. So it started with podcast, and then from there I was able to build relationships with players slowly. Kasi kay Nav, he's told me it's like 6-7 years to build this kind of network that he already has right now. So it's the grind. I mean the love for sports media, and then yeah, that's the main reason why talaga. The pandemic gave me like a realization to pursue your passion and dreams kasi life is short. Ganun.
Right. Look
Miss
at
Universe.
you! Woo! Init! How do I top that? No, so I think most people who followed my media career know I started off as a writer. But there are areas you can do in podcasting that you can't quite do in writing. No, like for example, when you're writing an article, especially now with a short attention span of people, you can't really make it long as in detailed talaga. But then when you do podcasting and you hear the full audio, especially when it comes to interviews or watch the video, you can get all the context, right? Because sometimes you see a quote na sinabi ng player ganito in an article, right? So, okay, this player said this. But then maybe what's not included is how's the question phrased that led to his answer na ganon, right? Or like let's see. For example, he gives you like a 1-paragraph answer, but because you have a certain word limit for your article, you can only use a certain section. And that might leave different perspectives and impressions of people. But when you're podcasting, especially when you're doing interviews, you can like really phrase the whole question and get the full answer. You can see the body language of the person you're interviewing when they're answering the question. You can hear the tone of their voice, get proper context, everything. And I thought that detailed part of podcasting, especially when it comes to conversing with people, really inspired me to get into podcasting. And of course, just naturally, when you're working in media, you're kind of taking note of where media is advancing technologically wise. And over the past few years, even some of the best media practitioners in the States, like Adrian Wojnarowski, Shams Charania, Zach Lowe, even other sports, you go to the F1 Nation podcast, or maybe the NFL podcast shows in the Ringer, and Bill Simmons, of course, we have to mention him when it comes to podcasting. You see all these guys like being able to do more with their media coverage when it comes to podcasting, and I thought that really inspired me to get into podcasts. All right, so this next question in the mailbag is from Jong. I'll go first here. In no particular order, after Ateneo, LaSalle, and UP, who do you think would be the other two teams in your UAAP top 5 preseason rankings? So I kind of answered this earlier. I said NU. I like NU's mix of height, depth, shooting, playmaking at the point guard position, coaching, their discipline, their defense. They have experience now. So I don't know how I would rank Ateneo, LaSalle, UP, NU right now because I haven't seen enough Ateneo, yeah. If I had to, I would say LaSalle right now, just because of what we see from LaSalle. But I think NU's right there with them. And then the fifth team, I will have to say Adamson out of respect because they still have Jerome Lastimosa. They still have the veteran guys I talked about like Magbuhos and company. And they still have a champion head coach in Nash Rosello. So that's my top 5 right now. In no particular order, Ateneo, LaSalle, UP, NU, and Adamson. How about you?
Well, UST made it easier by not participating. I would say mine is the same as well, because UE is a wild card right now. We don't know. We don't know
Yes,
how the
yes.
Dumont Cruz plays. We don't know how Ethan Gala. I haven't seen. I know how they play based on dun sa yung highlights, but as a team dito sa college in the
Yeah.
Philippines, that's completely different, right?
And they're
So,
gonna be missing size, but no more Villegas and also Gianni Stevens no longer there.
yun din. So, I mean, you can't really say yet for UE. So, again, it's the same as well for me. In no particular order, UP, Ateneo, sa NU, and Adamson. Kasi sila yung nakikita namin ngayon. And FEU, not convinced so far yet. Kasi they feel different lineups. It's really hard to have a feel of FEU.
And
Hindi ko
the new
makapa eh. Diba?
and
Hindi ko
the
makapa.
new coaching system. Parang I feel like I need more time to watch them play to get like a proper
Oo nga
gauge.
pala, si Coach Denok na pala.
Yeah. So next question from our friend Fran Lu. What's up, Fran? So Nico, what do you think about the current Gilas build-up for the World Cup? Now the World Cup is less than 100 days away, and you know what? We don't have anything close to a pool or a final roster or anything. Just direct and like straight to the point right now.
Okay, well, to start it, I'm scared. Because the last time we went to the World Cup, not 2019, I want to talk about the Spain example. Why? It's
2014.
because, kasi from the FIBA Asia Championship, we kept the same roster. Wala nang,
Yes.
alam na natin sino yung 11 out of the 12. Nagpalit lang si Marcus Doutet and
Yes,
Blatch.
Blatch, yeah.
But
Continuity,
the fact,
alam natin
the continuity was there, alam na natin. Walang nagtatanong, sinong, It's more of like, kailan papasok si Blatch? Yun yung question that time. Ngayon, we don't know. It's more, pati sa import, hindi natin alam. Magkakapool pa, tapos 4th week of June pa ata sila aalis, 3rd week. Tapos Kai Soto has the G League pa. So,
and what is it, Jordan Clarkson ba yan? Is it going to be Justin Brownlee? Like,
I feel like it's gonna be Clarkson, but in respect to JB, they're gonna make him fight for that spot.
Or he's gonna be there in training, making it hard,
Making it hard. Because Doubt was there to make it hard for Blatch, right? Para iron sharpens iron, as they say. But I'm a bit scared. Parang we're hosting, but we're not. Mas maganda pa preparations natin noong 2014.
Yeah, and hindi madali yung mga kalaban natin. Right? I mean,
mahirap.
Mahirap.
Horford with Dominicana Republica. Sa Italy, Chris Duarte and not sure
Chris Duarte is So, just
back, ano pala?
Si Banquero, who I think you're referring to for Italy.
Paolo, but I think alanganin nata siya eh.
I think he has the choice whether to join the pool for Team USA or join Team Italy. So, I'm really
USA na lang. USA ka na.
Make it easy for us, Paolo. But definitely very interested to see how that turns out. And I think at this point you're not going to have a new head coach. I think that's going to be Chot.
Wala na. It's gonna be Chot na. Hindi na pwede.
Whatever you think about Chot and his preparation and his style, less than 100 days to go before the biggest basketball tournament in the world internationally, at least. And you can change your head coach this soon. Or if you do, you have to be goddamn sure this new coach is going to make everything work really quickly, because your margin for error is very slim. And at the same time, it's not just like the SBP is preparing a team to compete in the World Cup. They're preparing to host a World Cup in addition to fielding a team to join the World Cup. That's difficult as hell. I mean, I just wish there was like more clarity. Like you said, diba? Maganda sana if we knew where the starting line was and we knew where the end line was in terms of preparation for the World Cup. Now, medyo that line is kind of a zigzag and you can't really be sure where are the different benchmarks.
Diba? You can't tell eh. Like, you can't tell who's gonna be the final 12. So, to answer Fran Lu, kinakabahan ako.
Okay, last question. This one's from Jason, my producer. What's up, Jason? Can one just apply for a job opening as a sports writer? So, I would say yes, because my career with Rappler, I think I've said this in like articles and different podcasts. My career with Rappler started in a cold email to my sports editor, Ryan Songalia, who, after bothering him so many times, he finally gave me a shot and he finally said, you know what? You're pretty good. I'll give you a chance. But this was 2014. My advice, if anyone is out there trying to have aspirations of being a sports writer, is take advantage of social media. Post articles on Facebook. Make a Substack. There are platforms called Patreon or Norby. So use that, diba? Like, don't like only take the leap if you have that security blanket of knowing you're writing for a media outlet. Now, some media outlets might be willing to pay you, but if you want to get into the field, my advice is get your work out there, establish your personality, your identity, what you bring to the table, even if that has to be in your own platform. And you know what? It might not even just be limited to writing. Like you said, Nico, start a podcast like you did, diba? Or do videos, post it on YouTube. I think the goal is just, if you want to really be good at this, you have to practice it every single day and put your stuff out there.
Yeah, that's the same rin. You just have to be, yun yung technique ngayon, diba? Social media. So the more you're out there, the more you'll be recognized and easier for people to actually give you a shot kasi you really have to increase that digital portfolio, as I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys should learn it from Nico. Anyway, Nico, this was a fun, quick podcast. I'm happy you were able to do it. And again, best of luck. Congratulations
Thank you.
on your upcoming wedding this weekend. You are now a man. As the old say goes. No, I'm just
Papakita
joking.
rin ng ring eh. Gaganon.
Yes, sir. Show that ring. Like the ring.
Wala pa. After
No, but
Saturday pa.
honestly, best of luck to you, buddy, and
Thanks, Nav.
congratulations. And your girl's a very lucky girl to have you. I'm sure of that.
Thank you. I hope I make her feel that way till the end.
All right, and everyone, thanks for joining thanks for listening to the Navs Effect podcast. It feels like people joined today because we talked about
May
something
mailbag
personal and my
Parang
mailbag. Yeah,
May mailbag kasi.
I'm going to do this mailbag more often. This
Fun
mailbag stuff. Fun siya,
for
yeah.
ano.
It also saves me from having to think of topics during the show, you know. So you guys are actually doing us the favor here. But also thank you to our sponsors, Dexwin, Green Blooded, and Get Blued. Nico, thanks for joining me, bro. And hey, anything you got coming up on that podcast? I know you did an episode with Kembao recently.
Actually have an episode with Aaron Black because I was interested in his journey from Ateneo, from being seldomly used by Coach Tab in his final years to making one of the stars of the Meralco bot. So
yes, sir.
it should be uploaded Sunday because I'm too busy to fix everything.
Grabe talaga to. The day
Sunday.
after the wedding, my new
The day
episode
after.
na.
Pero di tapos na kasi. I have to, yung edit na lang. You have to put
Yes,
like the overlays and everything, clean up the audio. And yeah, yun lang, and that's all. And can't wait for you guys to see my episode with Aaron Black kasi sarap kausap si Aaron Black. One of those guys that you ask one question, he replies a lot. He says a lot. He expounds on what he said. Really,
he's a very eloquent guy.
Eloquent guy.
Yes, for sure.
It's half the job for us already. Kasi minsan yung mahirap, di ba? You ask one question and then they reply with like, yes. Oo nga po, mahirap eh. Not sure he really
okay, thanks.
Okay,
All right. Well, make sure you guys check out the 6 Man podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Nico, thanks, man. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Nav. See you next week.